Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video we are going to discuss about the user rights when it comes to data privacy. To begin with, we will touch base on the definition of data privacy. Data privacy is my right to choose what personal information do I want to share, with whom do I want to share this information, and what is the purpose of this information sharing. Which means that if you come to me and say that you need my personal information for this purpose, it's my right to choose whether I allow you to collect that information or not, and whether I like the process and I like the purpose as well. And there's one more step there, whether you say that you want to share this information further with someone else for completing the purpose, so whether I allow you to do that or not. That's data privacy, and in a way that's also consent management when it comes to data privacy. Data privacy gives me the legal aspect where it says that if in case I find my information being misused or wrongly shared, I can take legal approach and protect my own interests. When it comes to consent management, that's slightly simpler. It is simple that you will come to me to ask me for my personal information and use it, and you will inform me correctly, properly, what is your method of collecting my personal information, how are you going to process it, and are you going to share it further with anyone else or not. And you as a business organization need to obtain this consent from me, this permission from me, document and manage it with you, so that in case there is an issue, then you can always come back with record and say I have the consent for getting this done. So that is about consent management. Now in this video we decided to talk about the user rights when it comes to consent as well as in it comes to data privacy. Of course we have around 12 videos on consent management and various types of consent managements, so you can just go through them on my channel. As far as user rights are concerned, it's relatively simple. My first right is right to be informed. You have my personal information. I have the right that I should have been informed what information you have and how are you going to use it, and are you going to share it with anyone else or not. So as a user I have the right to be informed by you before processing my information as to what information you have, how are you processing it, and are you sharing it further with anyone, right? So how is the data being collected, how is it being used, and how is it being shared. The second right is to right to access that data for review. I can always come back to you and say you have my data with you, I want to see what information you have in your record, and maybe I demand a review for it. Maybe I demand a correction, or my third right, which is right to rectification. Maybe I come back to you and say I want this particular piece of information to be rectified, right? So I can request a correction. You need to first verify logically whether the request is coming from the right source, and then you acknowledge that you have received the request. Work on the request in a time frame. GDPR and CCPA have defined time frames, 30 days, 45 days, within which you need to complete the request of rectification, and then you have to of course acknowledge back to me and say that yes, you requested this rectification and we have already made this rectification, right? So that is my right to get my data rectified, or right to rectification. The next thing is I have a right to be forgotten. So I can come back to you and say that I want you to erase my data. I need to invoke my right or use my right to be forgotten. Delete my data from your records. I don't want you to process my data any further. User can request a correction. It's almost same as right to rectification. I can come and request a correction. You need to verify. You need to acknowledge me that you have received the request, process it within 30-45 days or whatever your compliance has defined as your period, and then you can you need to acknowledge that you have completed my request. The next right is right to restrict processing. I can choose what part of data I want to get processed, what part I don't want, and I can choose for which all services can you process my data and for which all you cannot process my data. So I have a right to restrict processing of my personal information. I also have the right to object processing of my personal information. I have a right to perform data portability, which means that I know you have my information, what information. I request you to provide that information in a common format that anyone can easily read and provide it to another party or another service provider. That would of course happen with all logical and legal documentations, but I have the right to data portability as well. And finally, other rights that I have, very important, restrict automated decision making. So if you are using AI while processing my data, I can object to it, and I can say that you are not going to use artificial intelligence or any automated way of processing my data. And the most important right under data privacy, which is right to withdraw consent. I want to withdraw my consent. I don't want you to continue and process my data, so I can withdraw my consent. Now there is a slight difference between withdrawal and erasure. Erasure, I am saying please remove it from your system. Withdrawal, I am saying that withdraw a portion of it. Maybe I am just withdrawing the consent. You can continue to have my data in your system, right? And an object also, I can say that I object processing of a particular part of my data, but you can continue to have my data. But in erasure, I am saying, or right to be forgotten, I am saying please erase my data, right? So these are the few rights that you as a user get when it comes under data privacy. As far as user rights and consent of a user is concerned, there is a huge series of videos on my YouTube channel which you can go through. If you think you need my services to help you deploy these practices, you can contact me as per the contact details in the video description. If you like my content, press like and bell icon, subscribe to my channel, and share your feedback in the comment section. Thank you.